Now, the big talking point is not the game, right? The game, who cares about the game? Who won the game? The Bears, I guess. Does it qualify as a win? They didn't finish the game. But the new kickoff rule, which we saw for the first time in an NFL venue. I don't know if you were watching this or not. The maiden voyage of they're calling it the dynamic kickoff. Now, what does that mean? Let me try to explain this to you in 30 seconds or less. So the kicker lines up normally. The other 10 players on the kicking team must now line up on the receiving team's 40-yard line. The receiving team has to have at least 9 players lined up between their 35 and 30-yard line. Are you keeping track? And then there's 7 of the 9 players must have at least 1 foot on the 35-yard line. Okay, but wait, there's more. As many as 2 members of said receiving team are allowed to line up anywhere inside the 20-yard line. They call that the landing zone. Ooh, good name, landing zone. It's like the splash zone when you go to the water park to return the kick. Now, it's the NFL's mandate. It is being used in theory, I say that in air quotes, in theory, to decrease injuries, which means decrease possible payouts down the line. It's called down the line liability or downstream liability, and to incentivize teams to return kicks instead of settling for the touchbacks because the ball would go out to the 30-yard line. So let us discuss the question. What are your opening thoughts? You've now seen it. I assume you've seen it. Maybe you didn't watch the game, but you watched it on social media, the clip. So what are your thoughts when you saw it, the dynamic kickoff? So I've got a GPS, breakfast combo, and floppy disk. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make paint dry. Watching paint dry, which is kind of like watching backups for the Bears and backups for the Texans. But we'll get to that in a second. In terms of my initial thoughts, my knee-jerk reaction to the kickoff, don't like it. Not a fan, right? My reaction is meh. It's a meh play, right? And I know it's a copycat thing. The NFL copied the XFL, which is the highest form of flattery, that they're ripping off the XFL. The way I look at it, you never get a second chance to make a first impression, right? We've heard that before, probably growing up. Somebody told you that. This is not the answer. Right? The GPS on this play is set to the quiet suburban community of Dolesville, based on what I've seen. Small sample size, but you hit the snooze button. Now, we'll give it more time. We're not making our final analysis on this, but at this point, my initial thought is it's a meh play. And typically it does take around 66 days to get used to something new, whether it's a diet, whether it's a new home or car or something like that. That's the duration now, but it can go up to like 250-something days. It just depends on the individual. So my gut, though, after seeing this, I know it was back. Oh, give him a chance. It was back. Well, you work for the NFL. My gut tells me this is not the answer, and this will not be around all that long. Now, page 2. How was the overall product at the Hall of Fame game between the Bears and the Texans? So, as anticipated, as expected, from what I saw, I didn't see the whole thing, but the 2.5 quarters, they had 7 penalties and 4 fumbles the teams combined for in 2.5 quarters. That's on brand. Like, we have a ritual. We've talked about this from time to time, but what I do is, in this case, I watched the Open with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, the Fox refugees over on ABC. That got my blood flowing a little bit. So my blood started flowing, probably you too. And then when they were done, I consumed the opening kickoff because I wanted to see what everyone was talking about and all that. So then I watched a few plays. And then I looked at the menu, and the menu said breakfast combo. And I said, I ordered the breakfast combo. That's milk toast, a side of overcooked plain oatmeal, and then you get a bowl of Cheerios, but you don't get any milk or no fruit. That's the meal, right? You had Davis Mills for Houston versus Tyson Bagent of Chicago. Riveting. Must-see television. Unless it's not. It was obviously humdrum. And they know it's garbage. So these Hall of Fame broadcasts, what they end up doing, trying to keep the audience, is they go down memory lane. Let's float down memory lane. La, 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 la. And they interview a bunch of Hall of Famers and hope you don't notice the actual game. Now, last word here. Where is all of this headed? This is just the beginning. There'll be a bunch of NFL exhibition games over the next few weeks here, but where is the NFL headed for these exhibition games? So we are in the final days of these practice games, and they will go the way of the floppy disk and the iPod. And even if you're a Pollyanna type person, you're going to have to agree, because exhibition football is on the list. It's on the endangered species list. It is at risk of extinction, and no one's going to complain when it's gone. The fans get screwed over because it's a bad product. The players don't like it. The coaches don't like it because guys get hurt, the guys that do play. And it's bad television, even though people seem to tune in because they're zombies. But the owners are going to use this as a bargaining chip. Eventually, within the next couple of years, we're going to get to 18 games. We're at 17 now. The spotlight will be on this. We're going to get to 18 games. The next frontier, which is it the final frontier in our lives? Maybe. Will be 20 games. So the plan, whether it's to get to 18 or get to 20, would be, all right, we're going to drop the dress rehearsals and just play extra real games. So eventually they'll get to 18, and then they'll say, we'll give you an extra bye. So then to get to 20, they'll say, we're going to get rid of the exhibition games, and we'll throw in a third bye week. So it'll be a 23-week season, but you get 3 weeks off and no exhibition games. And I was told this a few years back, that the plan is to get rid of the exhibition games because the stars don't want to play in it. In a more controlled environment, you will have more joint practices, training camp scrimmages where they bring in officials, and that is what's going to replace these this eyesore, this blight on the landscape, these exhibition games.